Peace, y'all. You know who it is. It's your boy, the Anarchist. I'm here with my boy, Invisiblekatana.
Hey.
And also my boy, Mr. Fantastic.
Hello.
Welcome back to A Few Nobodies podcast, where we just talk about what interests the three guys in this room. Right now, we're going to start it off talking about a complete fucking idiot. A complete asshole. No, I'm not talking about you, Mr. Fantastic.
I thought that's where I was going.
We're not talking about you. We're talking about a guy named Logan Paul. Now, I'm sure Invisiblekatana, being that he's internet literate, knows who Logan Paul is. But I want to take this time to ask if Mr. Fantastic knows who this guy is. You ever heard of this guy? Logan Paul and Jake Paul. Give us the rundown, Invisiblekatana.
So Logan Paul and Jake Paul are brothers. They are early 20s, huge YouTubers. As far as I know, because I don't watch their stuff, they're basically known as kind of the young douchebags.
Right.
And that's pretty much it. Recently, as of, I think it was on New Year's Day, Logan Paul did a video where he was in Japan's suicide forest.
I did hear about this.
Yes. And so they're in suicide forest. They come across a body and they make a video of it. They post the video and everything. They blur their face out because people did repost the video, so I did watch it myself. But it was like a body that was hanging there, and I mean, they recorded. They still made a vlog about it. They did it. They edited the video, and
oh my God! If you're sad, hit like.
Yeah, and
comment, all that bullshit. If you're sad like I am, bro, hit like, bro.
Yeah, they talked about that at the end. You know, the suicide hotline and how it's serious and things like that. And I don't know. I mean, it's also hard, especially the still they use, because he was rocking around in that effing Toy Story. He was wearing the alien hat with 3 eyes, the claw aliens. So he's wearing this in the video. That's the still everybody uses. Okay. It's like he's wearing the Toy Story hat, and it's like the dead body video.
So, with that said, now that we all touched up, what does this mean? Like, is this kind of like a sign of the times type of thing? Where I want to know what's your take on it, Mr. Fantastic.
Listen, with internet came a lot of knowledge and all that, but for some reason, man, respect has just gone out the window. I mean, we all know about Suicide Forest. We know about it. There's been some movies about it, but that is a sacred place. That is a sacred place where people have committed suicide and all that stuff. And I've heard when you walk through, it's very haunting. It gives you reflection.
I heard a part of why people do it there is like it's so dense that if you get to a certain point, it's so dense with the trees that there's no wind blowing. Like that's how dense it is with trees. Like wind doesn't even go through the actual forest.
Right. And for me, like that's hollowed ground. You know, we've all been in dark places. We've all been in places where, well, at least for me, you know, where I thought, man, I don't know if I can take another breath. You know, so for me, when I go there, it's respect for those people who gave up, and to post a video of someone's brother, sister, family member, husband, wife, daughter, son, whatever the case may be, is just asinine. And I'm sure their excuses is, well, you know, we did it because we wanted to bring awareness. Yeah. You can bring awareness to that in totally different ways. I mean, that place. It didn't
have to be in a vlog.
They could have just cut that part out and talked about like this happened.
Is what I saw. Yeah.
Right, but that's the thing. Like, there's a reason there's not a lot of video of Suicide Forest. There's a because it is going to come out weird, but it's like the pioneers of a place where people have given up, and you can really use that for reflection and to try to decide on what you want to do. And you know, it's a lot of people. I mean, it's a place that people go.
It's called that for for a real
so reason. You know, you have to respect that, and that's just asinine. And not even to be like in a suit or pay respect to the people who are dead in that area.
Like I think when I watched the video, they were gonna camp there. That was what they were doing. And I think people may do that. I mean, people go there because it's still a forest. Because, like I mentioned, like the density of the trees, like it is still a thing.
Right,
you
and
go to see
it's actually on my morbid bucket list, like something that I want to go see and experience and everything. So like I understand that part of it.
Yeah.
I get wanting to go there and reflect or go there and see it because of what it is, but to vlog about it and you know, like it just leads you into that there's no privacy anymore. I mean, you know,
even in death,
Instagram, and Instagram and all that stuff. You know, when someone gets signed to a new record or whatever, you know, like the beats thing with Apple. It leaked because a video was made about how much money, you know, like the day before or something, you know. So like there's just no, like, people just don't think anymore. People don't have respect for how things should work or need to work, in my opinion. So
True.
it's just awful. It's awful.
And you know, to me, the most disturbing thing to me about this video, because I know it's a lot of people that got heated over it. I was talking to a coworker earlier who said when she first found out about it, like, she really got heated. But what really kind of spoke to me about this, man, and I just want to have a brief conversation about it, is, all right, one of the things I seen, which was really disturbing, just besides the video and the context of the video, was one of Logan Paul's fans got on YouTube and said these words. So this is the mind of a Logan Paul fan, and this was, like I said, this is the most disturbing thing about it. He basically got online and said, hey, the dead guy should be happy he was in Logan Paul's video. I wish I was that dead guy. I would do what that dead guy have done if you told me I was gonna be in Logan Paul's video. Do you know the views that you're gonna, you know what I'm saying? So that he was using that logic. So that just lets you know, because I can look at it like an adult and say, okay, this is a dumb motherfucker. I don't care, I don't give a fuck that this news. Fuck him, let him go away. That's kind of my whole thing with shit. But when I hear a kid say that, and then I realize most of his following is kids. You see what I'm saying? So
it's the sort of thing where, well, it's just there, and then when something like this happens, that's when you notice the influence.
Have you noticed, I think we mentioned it before, and I know we've had the conversation about the series, but Black Mirror, they have an episode that's about, like, Facebook and that kind of stuff, about a girl who's, like, obsessed with legs and all that stuff.
I've seen that episode.
And, you know, when I first watched it, I was like, man, we're really close to that. But I think we're there.
No,
you know, where
you're validated by
strangers, not just, you know. I mean, one of the best moments I had over the holiday season was my grandparents on my mom's dad and stepmom, you know, validating me as a man and appreciating where I'm coming from, and they sent a really sweet letter and all this stuff for the holidays. And for me, that was validation, because, you know, we've had our struggles with each other in the past and our differences and all that stuff, but for them to be proud of me was pretty awesome. And a stranger on the internet's never going to give me that same satisfaction. I just don't. Maybe I'm older, maybe I just don't understand it. I choose to be out of social media. We've talked about that. So I just don't know if I just don't have the capacity to understand, but, like, I just don't get it. And I mean, it disturbs me when people are, like, posting videos of murdering somebody or robbing someone or doing this stuff, and they're still famous after it, and they still get talked about, and they still are seen in this light as, you know, oh, well, look how many views they got, you know? And the people, the websites and all that reward you for that by ad time and, you know, being paid for that stuff. And it's just, you know, it's sad. It's scary.
Yeah, it's funny because with the Logan Paul stuff, I was looking at Keemstar on Drama Alert, and he was kind of making mention about how he kind of feels that YouTube is sort of, because he feels, and I think a lot of people feel like YouTube really, really backs the Paul brothers.
Just they back anyone who's big.
Yeah, just based on the type of views that they get, because I think they never took down Logan Paul's video, but I think PewDiePie, he took it down. They never took it down. PewDiePie did a video about that. They took his video down. So that, you know, that kind of just lets you see some stuff. But yeah, I want to stick on. I don't want to stick on this for too long. I want to end it with "fuck you, Logan Paul. Fuck both the Paul brothers." And, you know, why don't you go kill your motherfucking self?
Well, don't wish that upon anybody.
No. The Pauls, they can do it. It'll be a better place. With that said, let's go into music. Joyner Lucas.
Yeah.
I'm Not Racist. So we all heard the song. Nate just heard it. The shit was out like 2 damn months ago.
So did you listen to it or did you watch the video?
I listened to it, so, like, with the lyrics and stuff, because I like to read the lyrics.
Have you never seen the video?
I haven't seen the video yet. I didn't know I was supposed to watch it with the video. So.
Well, that's just a part of it, because when it starts off, it's 2 actors. It's the first verse is in the video is the white guy.
Okay, well, right, because but I got that part through the
it's
song.
I mean, because I didn't know who he was, so when I first saw it, I was like, this is gonna be like a super racist video, because I didn't know if it was it was actually a white guy.
We just talked about that, because
you talked about how it sounded.
Yeah, I was like, and and for me, that just shows how talented he is. I mean, he is super talented to be able to spit like that with a whole different octave of his voice.
Yeah, but I think the reason why the video is so imperial that you watch is that when because most people didn't know Joyner Lucas, I did personally, but most people didn't. But when you see the video, literally the thumbnail of the video is a white guy in the "Make America Great Again" hat.
Yeah. I saw that, and I was like, because when I was listening to the podcast and we were talking about it, I thought it was Jordan.
Oh, okay.
And not so that's what I was looking.
Okay.
And it came out, I'm like, oh, this might be like a different video. You know what I mean? I don't know enough to decide that this is right. So this song came up,
like, clearly this white guy isn't rapping. So where's the song?
So and then it had the same name with lyrics, and I'm like, well, I'll watch the video later. And then I listened to that like 4 or 5 times. So
go ahead and start by giving us your thoughts, Mr. Fantastic, on it.
I thought it was brilliant. I mean, I thought it touched on everything that goes through somebody's mind, be it black, white, whatever it is. I really think it touched on all the stuff that people are too scared to talk about, or at least voice their true opinion on. You know, so, and like I said, I mean, he's super talented, because the song itself sounds like 2 different rappers.
I know.
I mean, it really does. I mean, it sounds like 2 different people, and it's not. It's one person. And the fact that he's smart enough to talk about the white side of things, I guess is the best way to put it, without sounding like he's trying to push his own rhetoric on stuff. Like, that sounds like someone, an angry white man would write.
You can say he was being totally objective with it. Like, he was
trying to be.
Trying to make
I mean, yeah. I mean,
you can't all the way be objective.
Right.
But.
I mean, he still had his point at the end of the song. And, but at the same time, it made me think of, and we were talking about it with Brighton, that's a totally different story, but like when a great concept comes up and you see a bad version of it and a good version of it. So there was a song by Brad Paisley and LL Cool J.
I heard it.
Accidental racist. Yes. And it's the same concept. It is the same. It's
that
trying.
Just seems stupid.
No, but it's trying to give out the same message, but it comes.
Now that I think about it, I'm like, yeah,
it did. You know, it did. It's like, listen, I'm trying to be different. I'm trying to be your friend, but you got to remember what was beat in my head because of where it came from and all that stuff. And so, but it just came out fucking. That's one of the worst songs I've ever heard. But anyway, for me, music, movies, and stuff, if it makes you think, if it makes you want to share it with somebody, then it's good. And it made me want to do all those things and more. Like, I listened to it like 4 times in a row.
I mean, I did too.
Yeah, like half an hour of my life is gone because I listened to this 6-minute song, just boom, boom, boom. You know, made my errands take longer because I'm sitting in the car just, you know, and trying to pick up on stuff and see where it was leading and the different verses and all that stuff. But overall, like, I agree with everything in the song to a point. The only thing I didn't like about it is he brings everything to fruition and brings it out and talks about it and talks about the differences and what, what a white person's generic perspective is and what a black person's generic perspective is. And like, but there's no solution. Like, for me, I'm ready to hear music and movies where it talks about just, hi, my name's Nathan, and that's it. You know, hi, my name's Demetrius, hi, my name's Terrence, and that's it. There's no, you know, like, I make a very big point of when someone asks me, like, you know, I said, oh, that person, and they're like, oh, well, who are you talking about? Describe them. I try really hard not to use religion, race, you know, any of that stuff. Like that, right. Yeah. Like, I try to just use, like, physical features and stuff like that. No. Let me get to my point, and then you can yell at me. But what I'm saying is like, people still focus on that no matter what. But they do. They focus on religion, race, all that stuff, and why do we do that? There's no reason to do that. Like, you know, black people say, oh, we stole your culture. White people are like, get over the fact that stuff happened 200 years ago, whatever. Why don't we just stop talking about it and just be better people and treat people with respect and just move on? If you like Nike shoes and I'm like, ooh, I like those Nikes, where do you get them from? And I go buy one, that's just because I liked your shoes. That's it. I like the music you listen to. I want to listen to it too. That's it. It's not a culture thing. It's not a race thing. It's not anything like that. It's just us doing what we like to do. And I don't know. That's my rant for the day.
Well, before I get to what I'm about to say, what you think of the song Invisible?
I like the song. So I had heard about it before, and I think I'd watched like one video, but I didn't listen to the song. And I'll just call her M. She asked me what I think about it, and so I listened to it like a couple of times after she asked me, because like more interested in perspective. But I was like, okay, because I'd watched the video. So you mentioned like there being like no solution. In the video when it ends, it's basically like kind of a nice sort of ending and stuff. Yeah, I didn't like the ending that much either.
That's why you gotta watch it. That's like, that'd have been something,
because it was like
the fuck?
Yeah, it's like the whole thing, like everything that was said, and then it's kind of just like
basically
a nice, they hug at the end. It's
imagine
like,
they
like
both
nice,
saying what they saying, and then they was just like.
But see, that's not okay.
And it's plus it's and that's one of those weird things where it's like because I did watch an interview where he mentioned like if he went as far with it, then ultimately it would just be stuck to one side where it's like, oh, he's just trying to do this, and it might be stuck that way anyway. If you're super racist, then you just kind of.
I can agree with, because I've seen a few interviews with Joyner. Joyner is one of my favorite artists right now. He's a I won't say protege, but he's kind of like of the class of Eminem type artist. If you know anything about music, you listen to rap, you can say, okay, this guy is influenced by Eminem, hands down, flat out.
Now he's from here, right?
He is from actually, he's from, I think, DC.
Oh, okay.
DC, from the DC area. So, because he talked about it not being that many rappers from DC. Yeah, man. The song, I actually like the song. I can't really, I'm not in full agreement with everything I heard in the song. Mm-hmm. In fact, when I first heard it and saw it, I was, like I said, the ending really threw me off, because I'm like, okay, from a perspective of a black person, once you see the video from the first time, you start off pissed first, because you're like, who is this white motherfucker? What the fuck is he talking about? And why is this dude not punching him in the face right now? He's very poised, because he was saying a lot of shit, and so I'm like, okay, but you get over that. And you get through the whole thing. Yeah. You listen to the young black dude's part, which I'm just like, he didn't even. To me, all right, let's break it. I don't think he really went. I won't say hard enough, because he did interviews kind of saying what his objective was. Yeah. And I can understand it. He was like, well, I'm writing from literally the aspect of these two people. I'm not trying to put every white person in the aspect of this white guy, and I'm not trying to put every black person in the aspect. It's an older white guy. Yeah. You can tell what his ideology is just by his hat, which is, some shit in itself. And then you have this young black dude, hair all dreads, whatever. He's young. Yeah. So when I heard that, I'm like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. I can't really knock that, because I can't expect a lot of wisdom to be coming from a young person in the first place. And that's literally what your intention was.
And I haven't heard interviews from him or anything, but I think from an artistic perspective, he was trying to show, like, old generation, new generation, how are we going to figure this shit out? How are we going to get through this? And, because if you do it any other way, I don't think it's going to be as powerful.
Yeah, it's hard to do.
Of a song, if you did, like, same age black person, same age white person, and a young white person. Because young white people are starting to see what the world really is, and they're really trying to be in the forefront of everyone's equal and all this stuff, at least I think. Yeah. From my perception. So I don't think it would have been as powerful if he didn't do it this way.
Yeah. And I think with this type of video, like we said, as far as the ending, where it's like the perfect ending, everything that's said, and then it's like, it's kind of TV style, where it's like anytime gun control comes up on a TV show, somehow there's this perfect solution that we've never managed to find in real life.
So no,
but it was that sort of.
It was a lot of black Twitter outrage. Black people didn't like that. It's just like, okay, y'all yell for 6 minutes, then y'all hug. What the fuck does that mean? Like,
But see, for me, that's normal. Like, that's how me and my family get through our problems. We yell at me and my dad, we yell at each other, and then we hug it out, like, 20 minutes later. So
yeah, that would happen in a family.
But isn't that how we're supposed to try? And, like, that's what I think the artistic part of that is we are all family. We all are brothers and sisters, right? So I think maybe that's what he was trying to portray. You got to find a way to figure it out, and let's open up the doorways, right? I mean, the first solution to a problem is knowing the problem. So instead of being like mumbling like that motherfucker, that guy's taking my jobs and shit like that, but not telling you and not talking to you about it, not not looking at the issues, then you'll never get a solution. So
well, I want to say this. I want to bring up this point. And I want to get y'all's perspective of it. The reason why I think you can say, if you're playing devil's advocate, so to speak, that a lot of people can have a little bit of problem with that particular. Like I said, I'm gonna preface this by saying I like the song, I like the video, and I'm glad Joyner Lucas did it. Because if nothing else, he brought up the conversation. If nothing else, I don't care if he didn't do it right or whatever. It was a huge thing. It was a huge hip hop song that actually meant something, said something, and got people talking about something other than bullshit. So I can appreciate that hands down. But I think where a lot of people might have problems with it is just, of course, we live in America. We've been living in America, and hopefully we know a little bit something about it. At this point now, you have people that would say, all right, well, let's look at the video from the perspective of, especially if you have one group of people who feel like, white supremacists who feel like we should be supreme over every other group of people. And then you have another group of people who feel like, well, okay, because of that, we've been victimized. That's not too much of an equal playing field. That'd be almost saying, like, if you go take it back to Nazi Germany, where, okay, you're in a situation where the Jews are in camps and the Nazis are not, but you get one Nazi talking to a Jew, and by the end of the conversation, they hug it out. The Nazi's still gonna go back to wherever he comes from, and the Jew's gonna go back to the camp. So it's like, that's not really fixing the problem. You could resolve an issue between two people and how they feel, but that's not overall gonna fix this particular problem.
And I think admittedly, all you can hope for is or two people at a time, I guess, because there's not gonna be anything that's instant for a whole group.
And you talk about that hug, and then they go back, but they're going to remember that conversation, and that Nazi might come back remembering that hug and say, you know what, they're not that bad. Maybe let's start getting some of them out. I definitely want to get this guy out because I had a connection with him or whatever. So, like, for me, the hug at the end of the video isn't the end of that saga.
Whole thing, yeah.
Right? So, and in the song and in the video, which I haven't seen, let's preface that, I haven't seen it yet, just from your guys' description, but at least the song, like, I think that's part of the song is they aren't the extremists. They're the generic version of that, and I think he's trying to bring to the forefront, like, hey, you see on media, extreme white person, extreme black person, there's 80% of us in the middle.
Right.
How are we going to figure that out? How are we going to address these issues that we hear in the media, that we think about, that we do? How are we going to address that? And sometimes it does start with just a hug. I mean, I get it, but at the same time, like, even with my kids, when they're fighting over something or they're disagreeing about something, at the end of the day, they still love each other and they still hug each other. They still care for each other. So if we're trying to move forward as a society and get through this together, then you have to do that. Me and my wife have a rule. We don't go to bed angry. We don't go to bed mad at each other. At the end of the day, we're ready to hug each other. That doesn't matter if we had a great date or if we had a 2-hour fight and yelled at each other and called each other names. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what kind of day we have. And I think that's what the video, and maybe I'm going too deep into it, but I think that's what the video is trying to show.
You might be a little bit on what he was trying to really do.
But the fact of the matter is when you put art out there, everybody has their own perception.
Because
so
I'm gonna tell you this, he did say, because like I said, that was a huge critique. A lot of black people were like, okay, the white guy went off, the black guy went off, they both hugged. What the fuck, Joyner Lucas? And he was like, he literally said, okay, I know in the real world this will not have fucking happened, but this is my world. This is what I want to happen in this world. It's not the fucking real world. I can write the shit any way I want to. That's how I want to end it. Yeah, flat out. So.
And maybe if people started trying to act like that in the real world, we'd have more hugs than killings, right? I mean, I don't know.
Interesting. Another point I wanted to make was I seen a lot of black people bring this up, and it's always funny looking at black people on Twitter, bro. It's the most pathetic thing. But anyway, another gripe that they had, Black Twitter, the infamous Black Twitter. They get people the fuck out of here, I'm telling you. Black Twitter got some power. Not that much, but a little bit. But anyway, they was talking about how, which I thought this was interesting. They were saying how if you listen to the conversation, and this could be a little bit indicative of Joyner Lucas's subconscious and how he thinks, but if you look at the argument of the song, you get the white guy basically spewing a lot of negative stuff of what he thinks about black people in general, no jobs, and if you do this, this will happen for you. And basically you get the black guy, he didn't necessarily spew a lot of, you know what I'm saying, you this, you that. It was more from a victim type of place where, okay, but you don't understand. You don't. So it's just like, you know, because I think people kind of perceive the song as you get a white guy saying all this about the black, and then you probably get the black guy, well, fuck you, whitey, because this, that, and he just be the other on the other side.
Yeah.
But some people would, I think, more people that I've seen were white. They would say, they kind of was saying like that was unfair because they put like the white man like.
But it's not unfair. I'm a white man, and I have older family members. I have people that voted for Trump that I know of and stuff like that. And the things that come out are negative things. That is what it is. And I'm sorry, when you're a minority, you're always on the defensive. You're always on the, hey, I like this because of this. And I do that. You're not trying to bring down the power. You're just trying to defend yourself so that you can get to the point where you're equal power. So for me, like, I don't think it's a wrong, I mean, it's a wrong perception and for different reasons that we shouldn't be talking like that. But the fact of the matter is that other races from white people have always been put down, have always had a negative way, you know? I mean, you don't hear about George Washington Carver, you know? You know, you don't hear about these people that created a sustainable life for a lot of people. I mean, George Washington Carver single-handedly, you know, kept a poverty nation fed, you know? I mean, I know there was a lot of times where money was tight and it was peanut butter and bread, man. That's what it was for like every meal of the day.
Not to mention that motherfucker made like 100 different inventions with peanut butter.
With peanut.
On that note, with peanuts. Look up, just do it, Lewis Lattimore, so you can find out who really made the fucking light bulb. I'm just putting it out there. Lewis Lattimore.
Well, yeah, but Tesla had a lot to do with that too.
Yeah,
like his wireless electricity. I mean, he was coming out with that way back in the day. So
yeah, but I just
Thomas Edison's a dick.
Thomas Edison a
Tesla
fucking
got
thief in
for
a
sure.
No, Thomas Edison had the money, the right connections, and he got to write his own history. So
and the practice of stealing shit from people. So.
You know, I mean, we literally, like, I love Greenfield Village. We talk about it and all that, and you can literally, and I jokingly call it the house of stealing and lies, but his think tank where he helped support people. No, he didn't. He let them come in and said, I'll feed you. I'll give you $1,000 if you come up with an invention. He'd get the invention. He'd patent it. And then that was that. And then he...
Einstein. Just names on patents. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all it takes.
Yeah. Nice.
But yeah, I mean, back to your original point, like, I think the perception is spot on. I mean, I think that's how the world is right now. And it sucks, but it's getting better. I mean... It's definitely getting better. But yeah, I hate the phrase. I'm not a racist, but...
I'm not a racist, but... Me and T done heard that a few times. Now look, I'm not racist.
I hear it all the time. I think maybe not hear it as much as you guys, but like, you know, when you're around a bunch of people your same type, you know, things tend to get said that you're like, nah.
Do they have to preface it by saying I'm not racist? Or do they
yeah, so like,
Not racist.
I mean... All right, so I'm not going to say who, but I grew up, you know, watching football and stuff, and someone that I looked up to used to, like, if they were down a bunch of points or it was like a third and long or whatever, they would say, you got to get that NGL play. I had no idea what that meant at all. And my dad's like, what the fuck would you say that in front of my kid for? Why are you saying that? And they're like, what? That's the play. And I'm like, Dad, it's just a play. Like, you know, I'm trying to defend, like, Dad, it's just a play, you know, because I'm like 8 or something like that. And my dad's like, I'll talk to you about it in the car. And then he goes, but why don't you go check on your mom or something like that? Okay. And I knew it was about to happen. Yeah, but I never heard the phrase again. So, but yeah, I mean, it's just, I have a completely different upbringing of that, you know. You guys were talking about Detroit and like how heavy it is in different cultures and stuff like that. I grew in the Midwest in Kansas City, on a suburb outside of Kansas City. Yeah. I had so when we moved from South Kansas City to Lee Summit, my mom had like a daycare, and it was a lot of Latinos and stuff like that. And so a few of them wanted to come and follow us to Lee Summit, even though it was a long drive. Well, none of our neighbors would talk to us for like a month and a half. And, you know, come to find out that's why later in life, that's kind of why. Because, you know, we had people from, you know,
different cultures and stuff like that.
And then growing up, I had one one black kid in the entire school. And then as I got older, more and more came. But like, you know, I mean, that was my upbringing. I mean, I heard it just sucks because I had a really white privilege, I guess, upbringing. But I try to understand the struggle, and I try to be respectful, and I try to treat everyone the way that I want to be treated. And I don't understand why people just don't get that. You know, the golden rule. You know, if everybody followed the golden rule, we wouldn't be talking about this.
Right.
I don't know. I just get really frustrated.
Yeah, this is how it is. You know, people want to be, you know, like you said, the golden rule, treat others how you want to be treated, but that doesn't really apply to much. It's a nice
48
phrase.
laws of power apply. Crush this motherfucker while they down. Yeah, that was an interesting book, Robert Greene, 48 Laws.
It's a nice...
Have you read that one?
Uh-uh.
You got to read that book. Everybody
Is
gotta
it
read
good?
that book.
Okay.
It's a good book. Like, it just seemed like a textbook right here. It's on some Huckleberry Finn shit. Like, I just think everybody should just have read that shit. Because it's like, it's interesting because, well, just to talk about a little bit, Robert Greene, guy who had a lot of jobs, a lot of corporations or whatever, he said, and he studies history. So he kind of looked at history like, dang, this powerful guy in history did this, and this CEO is doing this. So he kind of mapped out, okay, these are the laws of power. These are pretty much what people do to get in the positions that they do. And it's some ruthless shit. Some of it's some ruthless shit. Like, that's probably a lot of his critique is people like, oh, do you have to write a book like this where people just seem to do a lot of just evil stuff for power? Could you just write it?
We were talking about this off air. You have to do fucked up shit to be successful sometimes.
Exactly.
I mean, you have to.
Yeah.
That's the way the world
it just
turns.
I think, I can't think of the laws off top, but it just got laws like how you always have to crush your enemy when they down. Like, you can't just kind of just, like in a fight, like, you start beating them up and you just, you can leave them alone, you walk away. In a movie, what happens? What's all right? Somebody comes out of nowhere. Yeah. So always finish your opponent is one of the laws. You look at that like, damn. You even got stuff like, I think the first law is, or the 49th law or something, 48th law is, don't outshine the master. It's like something like that, where if you're in a student-apprentice position.
Don't be better than the person that's better than you.
Basically, don't make them seem like...
Because you don't have the power yet.
Exactly. Yeah. So he talks about that stuff, like, this is what people literally do in this realm to get power, and it's not the most, hugs and kisses type thing, but this is what goes on. So that's what he wrote his book on. So that's interesting. That's clearly what goes on in power today. I want to touch on some stuff also. Of course, they passed they got rid of net neutrality, got that the fuck out of here.
Was that official?
No,
Congress?
I'm saying by not Congress yet, but just them with the vote or whatever. So we're living in a time where
in the middle,
Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter could all be a package that you gotta pay for. That coupled with a lot of stuff been happening in a few days, in a few weeks, I could say, since we all been together to do the podcast. I just want us to run down them a little bit. So you got the stuff, the internet is not the internet anymore.
We'll see what happens with Congress.
All right,
so I'm hopeful, of course, like we were before. I want to touch on and see what you guys think about some of the new bills Trump passed. Cause I think we might have been talking about this, T, or maybe I was talking about somebody else, I don't know. It's probably somebody else.
It was another light-skinned dude. But we was talking about how, like, if you read some of or at least the latest bill that Trump passed, like, it almost seems like clearly this dude has an agenda to put money into the pockets of more wealthy people. I think I heard a news anchor say, like, if you're not rich, you better get fucking rich, or it's gonna be fucked up for you in the next few years. So basically saying, like, a lot of underclass, it's like almost gonna be no middle class, basically.
Yeah, like the tax cut and stuff like that, and how they're trying to make it seem like it's really good, and then it's just like, it's basically rising for lower income people as it goes on. So it just gets worse.
And I was gonna say this, man, but I want to seem cynical because I want to believe stuff is getting better too. Because you did say something like, but things are getting better, and I want to be like,
I mean, good things happened is what I said. I don't know if I said things are getting better because
you said that a couple times.
They've got to get worse, but I mean, our president's tweeting about having a bigger nuclear button.
I saw that today. Yeah, it's like, man,
I got bigger nukes than you, motherfucker.
No, he didn't even say nukes. He just said button. And I know how to use it. Is what he said.
Yeah, mine works. Is what he says.
It's like, what are you trying to?
I know how to use it. Like, nukes go off. It don't matter.
How do we want to interpret this? Where is the? I want to say first country, but you got to say it in the end. Where is the world going at this point?
I hope not Fallout.
With everything I just mentioned. Now, clearly, rights taken away. People are like, oh, I guess
then
we
won't
do
whatever. Yeah.
and you get this thing where it looks like a lot of the elitists are trying to like contain power.
Yeah, it's
what should people think about this? Like going into 2018, what do you expect?
I mean, the sky's falling, kind of. I mean, I that I try to stay positive, but like, I mean, we got to look at the facts. I mean, the general public is losing a lot of power, losing a lot of money, losing a lot of stuff. And if you look at Congress and how many years those same people have been in power and being reelected and doing all that, and we're not changing that. And then we've got this guy in office who, praises Steve Bannon 1 second and then just completely drops him the next. And then
he dropped Steve Bannon?
Yeah, it just came out today that he was like talking about how he hates Steve Bannon now. Now Steve Bannon's coming back with his stuff, and I mean, it's like a reality TV show.
I was about to say a soap opera, basically.
I mean, it's just I don't know. That's why I'm trying to just ignore it, because I'm just trying to take care of my family
but the thing
and
is
move on.
Because that's my mindset. Like, man, fuck, I don't give a fuck. But like sometimes,
but it's getting to the point now where
it's like
I don't know what.
Because I feel like a lot of stuff that's going on, although it may seem like different, I feel like a lot of it's tying together. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't really. I don't think it's an accident about this whole stuff with Russia, and at the same time you get the stuff with net neutrality, and at the same time you get these new bills. It seemed like a few people have an agenda, and it's all getting crossed off the list. Like, get anywhere away from them motherfuckers. Taxes, that's done for you. Like, you know what I'm saying?
And I listened to a radio show too called The Church of Laszlo, and they were kind of talking about it. But if you've noticed, shout out. If you've noticed, when a bill's getting ready to pass or something like weird, or you're just like, man, that just doesn't sound right. But how's this even going? Then all of a sudden the news story is Trump hates Bannon now, or Trump made a weird tweet about at 4 a.m, and everybody
distraction.
Right, and so everybody's like, man, this guy's an idiot, ha 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 ha, while Congress is passing bills about taxing us on the internet, passing bills about moving our deficit down, and their plan to make the deficit less is by taxing us, middle class, more, and dropping corporate taxes and all that stuff, which allows the rich to cut a lot of cost and be able to do whatever they want, basically.
This is crazy.
So they're all doing that, and it's you say that it just seems like the last couple of years, but I think it's ever since the internet was thought of and brought up, because if you look at everything the last 20 years and how, think about it, when computers were first around, they weren't in a lot of schools, but once the internet came, all of a sudden they were just pumping them into schools. Poor schools, rich schools, it didn't matter. They were getting kids ready for the internet. Well, those kids are us now, and we're teaching the new generation that YouTube's awesome and Netflix and all this stuff. I mean, Xfinity now has that little scroll that pops up when you pause it, and it's got the news stories. And half the news stories are bullshit. It's like, Caitlyn Jenner just, Instagrammed about her face or whatever, and you're like, okay. And then right after that, it's
stuff,
and then right after that, it's, well, January 23rd, Congress barely escaped being, and you're like, what the?
Right. Two things that don't seem like they should be together anymore.
Right, but they're putting them together so that we get distracted and we can go, and we're so ADD now, and we're so reliable on the internet, and we're so reliable on boom, 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 that you can go, the big forces, Illuminati, whatever you want to call it, can say, all right, let's throw in a little weird news story about Trump, and then this big thing, and let them and get it in their brain, so that when it comes up, they're like, oh, I already heard about that. That was when Trump was being weird. They're trying to get us to think.
In the past, like, oh yeah, they passed that. When the rails around the same time, Trump said.
And so
it's always just a while ago.
And so I really think that they've got this perfect formula, and they've been working on it a long time, and it's finally coming to fruition, because there's some things that are going on, and I'm just like, this is fucking.
What do you
weird.
think about I was looking at what's that channel on YouTube, Vox, the other day, and they actually put up a really interesting video, and they talked about, I forget what type of theory this was, but some sort of scientific theory that if you look at clearly, somebody's working on, because they talked about how in psychology you can take a person from, let's say you have a scale to however you want to make a person, and a person's at A. And you're trying to get them to a drastic area at G or something. or G is the most drastic, let's just say.
Yeah.
They said in this particular psychological study that if someone's at A and you go drastically to G, then whatever it was in the middle, even let's say that was the blue, the side you were safe on, and then this got to the red. If you know, so you go from Barack Obama, let's say it was just normal, neutral, to a Trump. Mm-hmm. So because he's a Republican and he's probably the most extreme type of Republican, based on one stuff that way, then Republicans that kind of fall in the middle, when they say things, that seems normal. So it's almost like that's kind of where they was trying to get it, to this little space. That's why we put this guy over here, because he's going to say the dumb shit. So when somebody comes out and says this kind of sounds a little reasonable.
It's like hitting someone with the worst news, like, oh, they died. It's like, no, he's just in the hospital, though. It's like hitting you with that.
Yeah.
And soften the blow.
Like,
so yeah, when I heard that, I'm like, that's interesting. That would make a lot of sense, because if I did want stuff to go how a Republican went,
it's not even Republican though. I mean,
I'm not trying to say.
I mean, this is stuff beyond.
Because I want to say
this is beyond just Democrat, Republican, white, black. I mean, this is
what we're talking about,
a handful of people doing what they want to do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it just on that, like, because they use that as a thing to do.
Yeah, as an example. Yeah.
So, but that's basically what they were talking about. Like, if you want stuff to go a few notches one way, expose them to the extreme.
Yeah.
So when somebody,
or give them comfort, and then flip the world upside down, because that's what because that's what everybody tells me when I bring up my crazy ideas. That I'm like, they know what they were doing. They've been knowing what they've been doing since day one when they signed the Declaration of Independence, and they all went and had their secret meeting and said, this is how the world's going to work. Our families will always be taken care of, and this is how it's going to go. And tweaked since then, but people are like, well, we had a black president. Well, yeah, but he did a lot of things, good things that other presidents would have done, like kill, Osama bin Laden and all that stuff. And it's weird that it happened towards, when he needed to get reelected, and then like, his healthcare plan that sounded good on paper, but then, didn't come to fruition like he wanted it to, and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden we got this crazy white person, and now everybody's like, well, you're really a racist because you voted for Trump and you didn't want a woman to be president. And then it started like that, and then it became all this stuff, and then now people are just so fucking boggled down by everything. They're just like, well, the fact that we're not in debt and they say that's important, that's fine with me. Do whatever you got to do.
Yeah, that's important since the dollar is worth about 4 cents at this point. At least we're not in debt.
but I'm serious. Like, I think that's why he was president for 8 years. Is to give people that comfort. And like, the world's changing and we're doing a good thing and all this. And then they're like, just kidding, and put this freaking crazy person in office, or perceptually crazy person, right? And put him in office, and they're like, oh, see, the world's still fucked up, and we're like, rebel, world's still fucked up. This is fucked.
That was profound what you just said, because that's literally, if you look at it, that's what happened. You kind of got lulled to sleep because everybody loved Obama except for the people who didn't love him. You see what I'm saying?
Right, but they were called crazies, and everybody agreed with that. And
exactly.
he didn't. I mean, think about it. He was the first president to not have a scandal.
Right.
In like 20 years.
Crystal clean. Like, it got to be something on this guy.
I mean, crystal clean. Like, and he was the first president who, besides, I would say, FDR, where, he was with the people and doing the new technology and trying to help the poor and doing all this stuff and really trying to change the world. And people are like, I can get with this. All right. And then Clinton came up and Trump, and they're like, well, I don't need to really do anything. I mean, life's good right now, right? Hillary's gonna win. Everything's good.
That's everybody.
And then everybody's like, looks at each other and like, oh fuck, did we really just So and I think that was all part of their plan. I mean, I think it's all a big thing anyway. So
one question. All right, let's say let me knock on wood for this, but God forbid Trump do a full term.
Oh, he's gonna do a full term. I mean, we had a president who got his dick sucked in the Oval Office, lied about it, and he was president again. So, I mean, we had a president who no one's ever been.
At this point, getting your dick sucked, that's like.
Well, I understand that, but like, okay, let's do this. Nixon openly admitted that he did the Watergate scandal, resigned. His right-hand man was still president after that. Right. So he was still running office. He just wasn't in office.
Right.
So, because he was being his lackey. I mean, we all know Gerald Ford.
Of course.
He's from here, and you guys don't talk about that shit at all. Like, the guy went to U of M, like nobody likes that guy. But anyway,
I hate my school
and
now.
then like the Reagan administration was pretty crystal clean, but then like you got the Bush brothers who, and the Bushes who like he paid people off so he wouldn't have to go to war during the draft, and he had a big drug problem.
The
and all
Bushes,
this,
aka Skull and Bones, continue.
Yeah. So, but that's what I'm saying. So like it's all, it's all there. And then came this guy who was up and coming, almost like. It's funny because if you put his stuff on paper and Abraham Lincoln's stuff on paper, it's almost exactly the same.
Are you serious?
Up and coming senator from a state that really people, Illinois, from Chicago, doesn't really know what's going on, kind of up and coming. Nobody thought he was going to win. Everybody thought it was going to be a powerhouse. And then it's like, we can change. We can do this. We can do this. Both of their platforms were that, right? Mm-hmm. We can change. Now, Abraham Lincoln was, we can be unified. We can change. We can do all these things. And Barack's was that way. And they both were president. And, the only difference is Abraham Lincoln got shot. I think it's on purpose that Obama didn't get assassinated. So
I was the first one saying he gonna die.
Oof, man, I think everybody thought that.
Yeah, I thought everybody.
I'm like, I just hope he get a good 4 years before they kill him. But it's gonna be. But I hate that I was talking like that. But I'm like, no, they.
No, I think everybody thought that. I mean, that was the first thing. I was like, man, this is really cool, but is he even gonna make it to inauguration?
Exactly. I remember people were saying that.
I mean, JFK got shot for less. Well, that was mob related, but
this is one of those things because I was definitely thinking that too. I think every person thought that.
Yeah, this guy was definitely.
He might get assassinated. Like it was a real thought. Like
yeah.
Yep, he made it.
But then it didn't happen, and so you're thinking like, oh man, maybe the world really has changed. We had a black president for 8, and then this happens, and you're so focused on, oh my God, did we regress? Oh my God, the people that I thought I liked, do I really like them? And all this stuff, and then Trump saying stupid stuff, and then all of a sudden, all these bills are getting passed. Mm-hmm. All these things are changing. Mm-hmm. People with power are getting more power. And, now, and then during the summer when they were talking about the budgets and doing all that and healthcare and all that, what came out? Women getting raped in industry, right? So then people are focused on that, and then all of a sudden all these bills are getting passed again, and you're just like, what the fuck?
See, that's the formula right there. Have something out in the open, and then do this underneath. And it's almost always gonna be stuff like bills, because even when you heard about this new bill that they passed, like you heard a lot of crazy stories. Like the shit was like a damn novel for one, and 2, they were writing little notes in the corner of the shit that was illegible. So people reading it, trying to figure out what it meant. Literally the night before it was supposed to be passed. So imagine you have to read a textbook. Have you ever? That somebody, wrote in the corners that you had to know on the test the night before the test. You're not going to get it right.
I don't know if they do it here, but in Topeka, I'm sure they do, but in Topeka, that's the capital of Kansas. And you can go into their...
Like the state capital?
Yeah, and you can go and watch them do bills and stuff like that. And it's literally like a bunch of high school kids in a classroom. I mean, some are on their phones, some are walking up, some are just talking bullshit. And there's literally someone up there going, okay, we're passing Bill 176. This is what it is. Yay or nay?
Got it.
Yeah, you're good. I mean, that's seriously what it is. And they're like, well, do we have the 30 people that's needed for that? Because I know this person's on vacation and this person's not here and this person wasn't accounted for. Wow. And you're just like, the fuck?
This is how serious U.S. politics is being taken.
Yeah, and and the fact, what really bothers me is the president has a term limit, right? Mm-hmm. 2 years. I'm sorry, 2 terms, 8 years. After FDR and all that, because he did what, 4 terms?
I think
16 years, right? And his stuff is still imprinted in today, right? So so they tried to stop that, but why isn't Congress limited?
Yeah, you can go forever.
You can go forever.
There are people that have done it for
career politicians.
Yeah.
And according to American history lore and everything is, we were never supposed to have that, but here we are. Right. And if you look at the Constitution and look at the way it was written, that's how it's supposed to be. So to me, it's all a perception thing. And I don't know. I try to stay positive and worry about my family, and that's it. But like, something's gonna happen, and it could be small, it could be big. I don't know, but when our president's tweeting a dictator who I don't even think is that crazy. I think we just depict him that way and video that way. But I don't know.
I'm gonna be honest, man, because look, you have to look at certain things.
Because if he's as crazy as they say he is, and he sees a tweet like that, I'm pushing my button.
Right.
You know, if I'm insane dictator, fuck this motherfucker. Bloop.
You can look when I want to see what type of propaganda the top want people to know. I just talk to a regular person. Today I was talking to, and Nate, it's so funny because you know this guy.
First initial.
C. At work. Crazy guy. Crazy religious guy.
Oh my God, the creepy guy.
Yeah, I'm talking to him.
Okay, customer, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm talking to him at work.
Oh my God.
And he's literally telling me, now, this is the type of people, if I want to know what mind control is.
I'd go a little smarter than that, but...
No.
Base level?
No, because of him, because he's going to take what's being told to him and regurgitate that.
Right.
If somebody that's a little bit smarter than him could say, well, all right, they said this, but this is what I think. I want literally what is being transported.
Okay, got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and I know I'm going to get that from this dude. So he's telling me, oh man, I'm scared. North Korea, they got bombs. We got bombs. So, you know, I'm like, oh, okay, well, tell me more. This guy's crazy. They need to take him out. So I'm like, based on that conversation, what the elitists want to do, based on this dummy that I just got intel from, is they want the American people to be scared. And not just him, because I hear it a lot. I even was on YouTube as a YouTuber. Oh man, every time a plane flies over my house, I think it's like, okay, what's the agenda here? Because nobody has information straight from North Korea saying, yeah, we gonna bomb the fuck out of y'all. I mean, you know, it's only a matter of time.
Quote unquote annexed from everything.
You
and
see?
So
it's like
it's just weird.
That perception that everybody thinks about North Korea, that this guy is crazy and this, that, and the other, this is clearly propaganda, because I can't find one book that says, you know what I'm saying, what everybody else is telling me.
Well, it does come from...
It does come
Kim
from...
Jong-un now, but Kim Jong-il has some issues.
And I'm not saying he's not crazy.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is like... what I'm
might
saying
not be
is
the
like,
same level.
Right, and think about this. So, Cuba, right? We finally ended the trade embargo with them and all that stuff, and all of a sudden people were going over there, and you know they had a big ESPN thing, you know, but like people already knew people over there, and they knew where to go, and I'm like, this is fucking weird.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, this is fucking weird that, like, you know, it was a big deal, especially when I was growing up in the textbooks and stuff. Oh, don't trade with Cuba. Cuba's bad, you know? Like, I used to be terrified because one of our family friends, he was a FBI agent and he loved Cuban cigars. So we always had Cuban cigars. And I'm like,
how do you get that?
How do you get that? Is that from your locker? Like, what? How do you get those? And he's like, you know, like, whatever.
So something you don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, you know, but...
Yeah, we've been doing a lot of dealings with Cuba.
Yeah.
Fidel Castro was the agent. They got
you know, and then, like, the Cold War. Everyone's like, oh, you know, that's when we didn't fight. Yes, we did. We were right outside of Russia with troops, and we fought them for years. We just don't talk about it.
Right.
It technically wasn't on their land. It was on one of their allies' land, so... We just consider it the Cold War, and we keep going and everything like that. So, for me, I don't know. It's going to be interesting the next few years, and it's going to be interesting what the history comes out of this, too. Like, what our history is going to be. It's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, I always thought, because it's just like, it always seems like a joke, Trump being president, but in textbooks, they're going to be talking about this motherfucker.
Trump is president, yeah.
And what he did.
And not only that, but, like, nowadays there's so much information and there's so much different perceptions, like what our textbook's going to look like, because you have a different perception in the last 5 years than me and then you, and we can all readily get to it.
And remember, it's his story, so whoever writing
it. But we're at a point now where, what are they going to do? Burn all those files, delete all that stuff? Like,
Here's the thing, though. They can do it subtly, because I was reading an article where this is how they changing the perception of, and this is how they do it. I just got wind that in Texas, they're changing history books, and one of the things that they're doing that people noticed and kind of was outraged over is they took the word slavery, of course that happened here in America, and they some like servitude or something like that.
What the fuck?
I think I heard about that. Yeah.
So you can kind of gloss over it. So hopefully
That's
50
like-
years go by and you're like, well, what's slavery? They were just, you know.
Servants.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, and I think that already happens, like, definitely in the 1800s, 1700s. Like, I don't think we know how brutal that
right, they
That
always hiding stuff.
life was,
you know?
right? You know, and it's glorified in movies now and all that stuff, so we don't really know. But that's like when they took the guns out of E.T. Like, what the fuck?
Oh yeah. They
What
changed the
the
shotguns to
fuck?
walkie-talkies.
Yeah. Like, what?
Like little stuff, yeah, like stuff that's just there.
Yeah,
You
so you
change
know,
it up
it's
or take it out.
easy to change some history, especially realizing how short our memories are, how short our attention spans are. Like I said, all they really need is a good 50. Like it's stuff
Yeah.
50 that happened 50 years ago that an old person is saying, no, it will actually happen this way, and we look like, Grandpa, shut the fuck up. Because this book says this.
Yeah. No, I
They
agree.
get old, so they can't really argue with. Shut the fuck up, Grandpa. You don't know what the fuck you was talking about. I know
It's
you was
true.
living at the time, but shut the fuck up.
It's true.
So yeah, be careful about that, man. You definitely gotta be studying not just history, but what's going on now, because that could be history change in the future. So yeah, man, good podcast, man. When Mr. Fantastic get on, we know we got some stuff, man.
And they're
We lay
long
it
too
down.
when he's on
We
as
lay
well.
it down. But yeah, man, it's been a podcast. It's your boy Anarchist. You can catch me on social media at Anarchist Beats. Friend me on Facebook, Demetrius McClendon. That's my government. But Anarchist Beats for everything else. Invisiblekatana.
Before I get into all that, just so you guys know, I'm going to be cutting this up. So for everybody listening, I'm going to cut out our last topic, which was Netflix. So that'll be its own little special segment. So look out for that because it'll be its own thing because we've been here for like an hour and 24 minutes. So
Technically, we've been out here for almost 4 hours.
Yeah,
It's 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, because we do 2 a day.
Movie
so-
shouldn't have been the last topic.
Yeah. So the Netflix stuff, we skipped over that for this full episode, but that'll be like its own special little thing because we just been talking for so long. So look out for that at random. I'll just throw that up at random. But look out for that. But I am at Invisiblekatana across the board in general. YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and no Snapchat is the anarchist wants to talk about all the time. But that's me. I'm at Invisiblekatana. You can get in touch with us at afewnobodiespodcast@gmail.com, and we are also at A Few Nobodies on both Instagram as well as Twitter. Mr. Fantastic.
And Stewster at iCloud.com.
Hit us up with topics, ideas, all that. We going heavy on conspiracies next episode. I'm telling you, I'm gonna have a whole plethora. Peace.
You know, we're going to talk about the Van Allen belt because I want to wait till you got back to fully talk about that. So that's what we're going to do. The Van Allen belt.
Did you research it?
Not yet. I was waiting.
Oh, man, you whack.